What's up, guys? Quite the day in the markets.
Oh yeah.
Luckily, we closed most of our trades. I was gonna bump up our stop on Bitcoin, but hindsight trading, never do that. Let's see what's going on. What's popping? Give a shout in chat when the broadcast starts, please. YouTube doesn't refresh it for whatever reason.
You're all
Weird.
good, Peak.
We are live. He's gonna tell me to sell my Bitcoins. Well, not quite yet. We're still in a bullish macro trend. If you saw my secret buy zone, 9100, that's still a bullish chart. In any bull trend we've ever had, we usually hit that 21 EMA. That's been my buy zone for a while. Obviously, we took a short-term trade, didn't work out. Got to 10,300, just shy of target one. Should have bumped up the stop loss, but I was out at the time, so it happens. Okay, so Mr. Chinggis is going to cover his view on Bitcoin, and then I will cover it right after, and we'll kind of go over what are next steps. What do we do now?
All right. So daily chart, obviously, we took a bit of a hit today. Not to throw, like JC said, not to throw us completely out of trend. If we do close under the 100, that is going to change sentiment across the board, I think, for a lot of traders. Just because it's one of those things you don't like to be under, right? So it sort of gives a quick bias if you're looking at something. A lot of people do this in the regular stock market with the 200 MA. Above or below is just a real quick look, long or short. So closing below it is not going to be great. Target short term is fine, right? We do have an 83.57 to 74.32. MA is sort of left to hit. And we do have that 21 EMA that is sitting around the 9,000 mark right now. It might have gotten pushed a little bit lower with today's movement. Overall, but take a look at the daily, right? Overall, still everything is fine. A little comeback, a little kiss, and then a push off if we got it would be fine. Expecting a wick down further, and I don't think that would be a terrible thing. Now, we lost our bat. We had a bat, and we lost it because of this candle broke now too far low, which then knocked the whole harmonic out, and then it's a big loser. So we did, however, find a butterfly. And the butterfly pattern would bring our D target right down to this little box over here, which would be 82.81 zone. And then a 382 liftoff brings it back to 97, and a 618 would bring it back to about 10.7. Now, of course, this isn't a pattern until D is hit and price reverses. So this is just something to look at. Just for the same reasons I was looking up top over here, which would have gave us our D on what would have been a bat had this not knocked it out. That gives you one more piece of confluence to go in that direction on top of all the other junk you see on the screen. That's one more piece to the puzzle. Just like you'll look at MACD, just like you'll look at RSI. It's just one more piece to the puzzle. Speaking of MACD and RSI, so as far as indicators on the daily are concerned, we lost just this one tick, right? We were ever so slowly creeping back to convergence, which could have gave us a little bullish sentiment. We lost that with today's candle. That's not a problem. And as far as the RSI is concerned, tapping down pretty low on the 14. That's the slower one is the blue. The fast one is the 7. Both of them are very sharply angled down. So, that's fairly obvious as well. So all things considered, I don't think that this is done. I think that we'll get a pullback, right? And that'll be fine. Let me get rid of some of this junk. I think that we'll get a little bit of a pullback. There's always the benefit to do a retest. And we'll see that on something like the actual triangle itself. Of course, well, not on this chart. You'll see it on JC's chart. But the symmetrical triangle, typically on any trend, as you'll have this trend over here in red, typically on any trend, you'll get a little bit of a buyback, right? So you push down lower, you push back up. That's that little, retest to secure that you flipped it, and then further downside. One thing to note about today's candle it was above average in volume, which we haven't seen. Like we said, going back the last 10 days, we had one that was just barely over, and then another dump candle that was also over, and that was it. So a majority of the volume that's coming in is coming in to sell, not coming in to buy. So the buyers aren't happy yet with the prices. So therefore, the sellers are going to make way with what they can. They're going to push the price down until the buyers are happy. And when the buyers are happy, they'll start buying again. Buyers will typically start buying when they find a zone that they like. And we can see that over here. The zones that look good are structure zones, right? So this whole area right here is considered structure, coming down like 8,200 or so. This would all be structure. That would be a perfectly good place to come up, pick up, grab some buys, and push forward. You might not get that, right? A lot of people will front run, and they'll front run by hundreds of dollars. So now you're talking upper structure, 8,800 ballpark, or come down and do a triple wick to the downside over here. Solidify this area as a 9,000, 9,100 support zone. And then you'd have to get momentum shifting the other way in order to get a buyback that makes sense so that you could sustain it, right? You can't just have a one massive candle and then pray that it holds from there. You do need an actual buyback backed up with volume and then enough traders in the game to actually play it. So for now, like I said, I'm sort of looking for a pullback region. And at that point, it might be, if we get confirmation on a touch, retest, and push further south, then that would be my idea, with some obvious targets to ladder in if you wanted to buy in. If we don't capture those losses all the way down into the 72 zone, where you'll see some charts are certainly headed down that way. It's possible, sure, that you can make a case. You can make a case for 4,200. Is it probable? I don't think at this time. No, the trend is so nice for this thing to just break down on the first pullback. I don't know. I'm not really buying it. For me, this trend is beautiful. This is a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful trend. I think there's a lot of overreacting and panicking with this tiny little pullback. In the grand scheme of trends, this pullback is nothing, right? Look at the low, look at the high, look at the pullback. This is a joke. But I think a lot of people get stuck in the moment, and the moment is, blood in the streets and fire and brimstone. Like it's really not that bad, guys. A little pullback, and then push off for the trend. Keep the trend healthy. And at least with Bitcoin, we do have a lot of historical data, so we could watch. We could see how it's reacted in the past. These pullbacks are no big deal. Some of these were huge, 38, 40, 45% pullbacks. These are monster pullbacks, right? This is a baby. The problem is it happened very early in the trend, which would have been okay if it was something like this, a very quick recovery. The fact that it kind of halted all this time, and this is the weekly chart. So you're looking at, 2 months of more or less sideways to declining price, with a low level support sort of holding, propping you up in the 95 zone. That's not inherently great this early on in a parabolic, but all things considered, we're still trading on the weekly well above the 20. This is very similar to the 21 EMA. Of course, the price will be different. This is at 90.74. The 21 EMA will act a little faster, so it should be a little bit higher. But yeah, that's about what I got for kind of a macro and sort of like a day view of what's shaking.
All right, man. Well, thanks, dude. That was very solid.
Is he here? He's gone? Oh, geez.
Can you hear me? No, I'm here.
Oh, okay. All right. I'm like, that's what happens when you look at charts, right? You don't like the the chat's on the other window.
My daughter had walked in, so I didn't want to. Yeah. Okay, so let me pull up my chart here.
Stained glass window. I know you're not supposed to look at my charts. I'm sorry. I gotta hit that button to erase everything.
Stained glass window. Jackson Pollock, man. Okay, so let's just take everything off and let's just kind of look at the overall structure. We're gonna start with the monthly. See how our monthly is looking. Monthly is looking fine. Lots and lots and lots of wicks. We hit this high time frame monthly resistance here. Here's our monthly support sitting right at 9,300. And then we've also got this monthly level over here, and then we wicked to top side monthly level here. So these are very, very important just because you could see back here, that was our top, 13,945. We got a potential bottom here, and then we've got monthly support here. So there's our monthly levels, and so these are probably the strongest support levels we have. Let me mark these off real quick. So then we've got, so weekly, possible double top, possible tweezer top for a pullback. If we just, use our fib tools, we'll see kind of where we're at on this. So we are currently sitting right on the 38.2. If we break that, it is possible we come down to the 8,500, which would be, line up with this wick here. Mid level here, monthly support down here. So 8,500 may be the wick. If you do remember my chart on TradingView that I gave the 9,100 buy zone, I'll actually just pull that up. It's just a little bit easier to do it this way. So we were watching for a potential breakdown down to the 21 EMA based on all this. But the one thing that I was, whoops, what am I showing here? Nope, sorry, I was on the next chart. So we did get a breakdown to the 9,500 level. Okay, that was the wick down to here. But typically what we see when we see a breakdown, we see a retest and then a push back down. So the 127.2 fib extension lines up with the 9,100, the 161.8 extension right here, possible wick 8,700 to fill the CME gap. That also lines up with this 8,500. If we look at the CME gap, it does go all the way down to the 8,500, which would line up with the 50% fib along with the monthly support back here. And remember, usually when we get a strong month, we get a couple months pullback. So, even if we got down to 8,500, could be a really, really good buy zone. So we might get a wick, maybe a day or two down here, and then a bounce back, and then a resumption of the trend. Let's take a look at the weekly. Weekly, basically still in this consolidation range. Nothing has really changed on the weekly. We hit this high time frame resistance where we exited our previous Bitcoin move. We came down here. We tested the lower region. So weekly basically just consolidating within the exact same range. The question is, do we hold this bottom zone and bounce back up to the top of the range, or do we break down from this level? And like we said yesterday, it's much better to long support than it is to short support. And we did get a nice bounce up. Whoops, hold on. We did get a nice bounce up out of our buy zone right here. Got it all the way up to 10,363. But then it hit that weekly resistance level, which lines up with support. Support came up, support, and then broke down resistance, came down. So it's been a key level for a while, but we hit that this morning. And we just had a gnarly sell-off here. But now we're hitting another weekly support that we've wicked to multiple times. So if we look at the weekly, you can see we're coming right down here. That's essentially where we're at right now. So that's what we're sitting on that weekly support as far as what we're looking at. So this is a strong support. I'd want to see a couple of confirmation candles before we take a long here. Because what typically we've seen happen is we'll see a bounce, and then a deep chase, a bounce, and then a deep chase. So we get kind of like this downward momentum like that. So basically expect something like this where it bounces, comes back down, bounces, comes back down. And we usually like to see 3 touches on that line before a move back up to the upside, where it will form basically what's known as the BART pattern. So it'll come kind of down here and then back up, and usually we'll test the underside kind of like it did here. And sometimes it'll break up, sometimes it'll break down. There's lots of different examples of that down here, but so that's kind of what I'd be looking for. I'd be looking for that, kind of push up, retest down here, push down, push up. So it'll probably get pretty choppy, pretty squiggly, kind of up and down like this as it pushes down into that buy zone and then up. So this 9100 level is the key level that I'm watching for. It's also this wick 2 support right here. It's also the 21 EMA. There's lots of different things. But with the gap where it's at, we could see a high volume sell-off capitulation move into this 8,500 buy zone. And I'll probably try and catch this knife. I'll probably want to see a little bit more confirmation on the 9,100. But it wouldn't surprise me if we get a sell-off down to here, fill the gap on the CME chart. And like I've been saying, the range that we've been in has just been really, really 50-50. And I don't say that lightly. It's just really been, high time frame, low time frame have been super, super mixed. But remember, this is the gap that we're looking for. So it's possible that we get that, quick sell-off down into this 8,500 zone to fill the gap. And this would be a great buy zone, in my opinion. It should reset all of our indicators, and that should give us a pretty solid long position for the continued uptrend. And that is still bullish. It's still bullish, believe it or not. It's still above almost every MA. And we can bring all those MAs up. So this first one lines up with the 100 MA on the daily, on the futures chart. And then it also lines up with the, it also lines up with the 20 on the weekly chart on the BTC USD. Futures chart in the BTC USD is a very, very different chart. And then if we look at the 21 EMA, so again, that 21 EMA right at that 8,900, 9,100 zone. So that's a solid level, but we might get that, quick sell down into the 8,500 region if this 38.2 9,500 doesn't hold. And on the BTC USD chart, it is weekly support. So this may hold, but we want to kind of give it a little bit of time. I don't usually like to try and enter in right after a high volume sell-off unless I see some nice buyback reflexive volume. Now that we lost this trend line, which was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, multiple trend lines, which was the 100 moving average. Now it's more like you wait for it to bounce and then you take shorts up here, like at the 10,000 zone, and then you target down here, or it might just play this range out and form kind of a right angle broad wedge like this. So kind of line up like something like that before it eventually drops again. So I expect a little consolidation, especially after the 5.8 6% drop, and that's what I'm looking at there. Now, as far as altcoins, there were some really good movers earlier today. INS did 40%, Strats did 15%, FTM, we scalped that this morning, hit target in about an hour or something like that, or no, sorry, 1 minute. And then cost. Now, the one thing that all these have in common, INS, Strat, FTM, Hypercash I haven't looked into, cost, and then Nulls is the other one. The one thing that they've all got in common is they've got big fundamental catalysts coming on. So Strat has Core 2.0, Payment Gateway, Proof of Stake sidechain, Stratus Mobile Wallet, Breeze Privacy, Stratus STO platform. So Strat is one that I was looking at for the accumulation zone. It popped off this morning, so we will try to be buying on the dips with this one. When it comes to FTM, they've got a mainnet launch coming up. This is another one, FTM Phantom. So we've got the virtual machine paper, Opera Chain mainnet, partnerships in Dubai. I mean, tons of fundamental events going on with this. And you can see that in the volume. People are really interested in buying Phantom. That was one that we scalped this morning. Was just looking for a little bit more of a buyback. And then Matic has a mainnet launch coming up as well. Matic Network mainnet September 30th. So that is one that we will want to be watching. Matic Strat. And then the other one was what was that? What's it called?
Knowles?
No.
You were talking about Knowles, Hypercash?
Oh, yeah. Contentus. I don't even know what Contentus is, but I do know they have a mainnet launch. So, these are the list of coins that we're looking at definitely getting into. And then FET and Sealer, they have mainnets launching in December 31st. So these are coins that I'm watching for longer term swing trades as we get closer. So we've got Contentos, FET, Nebulous has December 31st mainnet, and that was getting some interest. Knowles, FTM, Matic, and then Eternity has their mainnet launch early September with a protocol upgrade. So these coins are probably going to get a lot of volume. These are going to be really, really good intraday trades. Just buying and selling just kind of on all the dips. And so these are coins that we're going to be watching for. So make sure you're paying attention to the intraday trades. And I'll post this in the VIP room for everybody. Let me see. Live market updates. These are FA events for coins we will be looking at for both swing and intraday trades. YouTube. Okay, so we got a minute, and let's take a look at Bitcoin. Okay, so shit daily close.
No, come on. It's good.
We lost this daily support. We're actually sitting on the 100 EMA, interestingly enough. Instead of the 100 EMA, let's see if this has had any reaction. Kind of. Rejection, support. What's interesting is, let me go over something with you guys. So I got faked out back here because, see this green line right here? Actually, let me show you. Okay, so I got faked out back here. I actually, you see this green line? Let me close out all this. Okay, so see how this green line, it touched, and then it broke down and closed below it, and then it broke down and closed below it. I got faked out right here, and I sold a $1 million long position right here because I bought actually here. It bounced. I was like, all right, cool. Still holding the 200 MA, but it broke here and actually closed below it for like 3 or 4 candles. So I thought this thing was going to dump into oblivion and retest some lower levels. And what I figured out after was that the 200 EMA was actually the level to watch and not the 200 MA. So this could be a bit of a replay that we're seeing on the daily, that instead of watching the 100 MA like we have up here, we should have been watching the 100 EMA. So we were watching the 100 MA, 100 MA, 100 MA, but we bounced here. So was our support really the 100 MA or was it the 100 EMA? So this is where you have to kind of reevaluate how you look at the market. So we had this bounce, and then we had this right here. So are we being supported by the 100 EMA right now? And so that's pretty interesting because, we were kind of going under the assumption that the 100 MA was our baseline support, but this has been much more pinpoint accurate. And I like to see pinpoint accuracy. I don't like to see when it's kind of like melting through stuff, because usually that means the algo is not really paying attention to that. So that's something to keep our eye on, is this 100 EMA, see if we can hold this as support. And if we do, we can consider taking a long. But if we break down and close below this, then it's obviously not going to be a good ride for the next week or so. So again, 9,100, that's my target. There's a lot of confluence around that area. But it's possible that we do go down to 8,500 to test kind of some of the range in here. And then our next stop would be 7,500 with the 200 MA daily. Not a good daily close by any means. It looks like we got a little bit of sell pressure. Let's not try and step into this and catch the knife. And then we'll go from there. So let's take a look at the market. GNT. Let's see if any stuff's coming out for GNT. Because it seems like the only plays here are to find coins that have some FA, because there's coins GNT Golem. There's nothing coming out for Golem. Interesting. Okay. So this is just looks probably like more of a pump and dump. Sky, CND. Tomo dumped down. So somebody asked for Tomo earlier. We closed this trade, kind of break even, but it dumped down. Instead, kind of hard to exit up here. I ended up closing at a loss of probably like 7% down here because stop loss didn't trigger up here. So we did get the 100% retrace. Looked like a little inverse head and shoulders. This might be a potential buy here. Obviously, this would be catching a knife, but definitely something to watch for. I'll probably give it another hour, see how the hourly closes, but we do see some nice buyback. FTM was a solid trade. So like I said, there's a lot of good FA coming out. I gave another buy zone at 200, came down, touched it. I got a very, very small partial bid. My topside target was 223. We scalped it this morning from 185 up to here for about 9%. If you did a trailing take profit, you probably got stopped out around 206. And it does look like it's pushing up to that 223 level for another 10%. See, anything else going on here? AE had a nice breakout. That's one of those fundamental coins. Everything else, I mean, the volume is just so bad. Let's see what the
Recipe for disaster.
Yeah.
Factum got a good pop. Just now about 10% or so.
Yeah, it's moving nice.
Good pullback. Sitting nice on the 50. Okay.
Any questions? I sold all my Bitcoins. I sold a lot of Bitcoins as well. I thought you did that at 5,100. No, that was the 20 MA at 5,100. That was the 20 MA daily, I believe. Yeah, right here. That was 5,100 right there. How far down is Raven gonna go? Well, let's do some extensions. Okay, we are currently testing the 78.6 level. Mu? Is Mu still a tradable coin? Is that on Bittrex?
Mu?
I haven't heard that name in 27 years.
Okay. Monetary unit, Bittrex. It's live. It's kicking. Yikes.
Okay, so this looks like a potential ABC. Can you pull up any harmonics on Raven? See if there's anything.
Raven BTC.
I bought a bunch of shit in 2017. Yeah, me too, man. Digibyte. Let's not talk about that. The Minecraft news partnership. Okay, ETHUSD. Okay, so we were coming up to this really, really strong consolidation point. It looked like a potential strong swing trade area. The BTC chart was not looking that great. Obviously, we're in a downtrend. We're below that 200 EMA on the 4-hour. But it did look like this was also the 61.8% zone. This breaking down is not good at all. If we get a pullback back up to the 180s area, I will be shorting the hell out of Ethereum again. That trade did really, really well today. But yeah, so the USD trade, like I said, there was a very, very clear invalidation. Once this broke, should have just had, like a 2% stop. I don't remember exactly what I gave for the stop. On this trade, it was supposed to be more of a long trade. It was about a 7% stop, so about basically right here. Below this wick, because that wick is the invalidation level, so we climb up, and they just sent the elevator. Okay, QNT. Let's see. Let's look at the daily. I don't like that daily testing the 200 EMA, but we're riding this 100 MA upwards. And you can actually see it's like sloping, kind of riding it the whole way up. Getting a 20 potential cross to the downside. Well, we already got a 2200 cross to the downside. That usually paints a bit of a bearish picture. This looks like a strong support, though. Let's see what that is. Yeah, we did. Well, yeah, we did get the 2050 cross. I actually pointed that out yesterday. I'll actually point out the RSI that I pointed out yesterday that was going to cause me to close the trade, but dominance was just doing. Let me show you dominance. I saw ETH just like drop off the face of the planet, but look what dominance was doing. It was going up. So I didn't think that we were going to see a nuke on Bitcoin because dominance was like skyrocketing. It actually hit 72% as Litecoin and Ethereum were just like basically falling off the face of the earth. You can see Litecoin broke our key level that we've been watching. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Litecoin broke down here. So this is another one of those. How about the Bitcoin weekly RSI now in that transition zone? It's not in the transition zone yet. I'll go over that in just a second. So this broke down, was like I said yesterday, here's a risky trade. This is a much better trade when you get the breakout and the retest, because you at least know that you're pushing up. You've got buy volume. Buyers are interested. The RSI broke its support level. So now what we're looking at, you can see here, it broke it, retested it, and now it's heading to the downside. So now what we're looking at is any sort of pullback. We're going to short. Again, you know, like we did with Ethereum, and we'll go from there. Okay, so we've got DNT, District 0x. Is there any FA on this that would warrant? Check. There's nothing coming up on DNT either. So tested the 50 on the daily, coming back down to test the 20. That probably lines up with 200 EMA. You know, potentially, but I think the DNT volume is super, super low. Let me check my... The ones that I gave are the ones that you should be paying attention to, in my opinion. Yeah, the volume, my friend, is 12. 12 Bitcoin volume in the last 24 hours. So most likely bots and algos will probably just kind of do what they want with it. Let's see let's see what's got the most volume. FTM 216. Wanchain has a ton of volume. Ren got smacked. Is that down to 715 sats? Ooh, that got smacked. Well, at least we captured target one. We sold at 850. That's pretty solid. And I raised the stop limit up to basically like break even for those people who didn't get out. So this looks like it's came up, tested the MA50, and getting smacked down for a lower low. XBT RSI below 41 for the first time since February. Let's see. Yeah, we're still kind of bouncing over here. Oh, that's the 4 hour. Yeah, that's a key level right there. Good catch. 1, 2, 3. So we want to see some bullish buyback for this zone. Let's take a look at the weekly. So the weekly level is much further down, like here. Is Sealer still dead for now? We lost the trend. Maybe look for a double bottom here. I don't like the way this looks though, but maybe we get a bounce off the 63 zone. $1 million doll hairs, John T says.
Oh, the doll hairs. Yeah, so you do have a bearish bat forming on Raven.
A bearish bat?
Bearish bat, which means since we're on C and we got to get to D, it's bullish up to D. D would be about 488. And then a drop to 382, which would put you around 415, which is confluence on previous structure. And then a drop to 618 for second target, which would actually be the structure that we're on right now. So it's confluence with the B of the formation of the bet. Yeah. So it looks nice.
So this is what I had brought up. My RSI was set on 8 rather than 14. I'm quickly. So this is what I had brought up last night. And, you know, sometimes you just got to trust your gut and your instinct. At the very end of the webinar last night, I showed this RSI wedge that we had broken down, retested, and we retested it right at that 10,300 level. Sometimes you just got to trust your gut, but there's just so many variables and factors. You know, you never know when the RSI is going to actually play out. And what got me was this breakout retest. This looked just really, really clean for a push move up. Now I had put out on my analysis about the short filling wick back here. When we saw this short filling wick, we saw a couple of them. And I said to kind of watch out for it. And what's interesting is these levels, I was just looking through this today on my notes. These levels are basically around the same price range. And then they saw the same high volume dump afterwards. So this is what we are looking for on the buyback. One of these little wicks right here. And that was what I had pointed out right here. Sunday volatility wick to 9,100. Sunday volatility wick, short fill. I thought the short fill was up here, but what it did was it came sideways, popped up, got the shorts filled there, and then dumped. So the thesis was still the same, but it was, yeah. My RSI was, do you ever margin trade the small alts? Like what, Kevin? I mostly try and just margin trade Bitcoin and Ethereum, but I do, if you guys want me to, I could send out more trades on ADA and XRP. The problem is they were just in such a tight consolidation range that it was pretty annoying trading them. Where would you short ZIL? Now, everybody and their mother was long on ADA because of this triangle formation, the rising. But yeah, we just basically went from 500 down to 460 in a matter of, just a day or two. I'm in the NAS and DCR last Sunday and Thursday. If the stops didn't hit, no, just stay in them, man. Those are fine. NAS had a nice pop. It's got a lot of good FA coming up. I think I posted this though, that I said I was watching the 630 level. And then the DCR, we lost our trend line here. They just, it broke down, retested, kind of moving down. They did just release a privacy update for Decred, which was a really cool step, making it one of the most competitive privacy coins. Are you bullish on SONM coin long term? Fundamentally or what? Technically, it looks like we're trying to put in some sort of a trend reversal here, but it's got a lot of work to do. I mean, this thing is way down. The issue that I'm having is nobody knows what's going to happen when Binance pushes out American traders. We could see just massive sell-offs on all these projects as market makers move to more profitable exchanges. So the best place to buy this would be just a breakout of this top side, which would probably be right here. But that's still probably like a 200% move, yeah. 80 to 300, but I mean it's kind of rounding just to get up to this.
What? Did you say that that's kind of rounding?
Right here. It's kind of rounding off right here.
Okay, all right, yeah. So we're looking at like the whole...
like it did back here. No, this shit's not rounding. This is in a straight. This is like every other shitcoin chart.
RSI is rounding.
Yeah, no. I was talking about here. It's kind of forming a little bit of a rounding structure, but still lots of sellers in the market. Okay, so the question is, and the problem is, let me explain how these actually work. This is not necessarily retail traders selling. Okay. What makes this coin valuable, right? So it's at 100 sats, 100 sats. 100 sats per coin, and then let's say there's a billion coins equals whatever it is. So the 100 sats times a billion, that gives it a Bitcoin value, and then you multiply that by the US dollar value of whatever Satoshi is, and that gives you the market cap. Now the problem is this can all be like this whole thing right here. Everyone always asks me, who the hell would just continue selling, right? This is not necessarily retail trading. This is market makers that make money all the way down, right? They do bid and ask all the way down. If the coin what's the coin that we just showed on Binance?
The one that had like 10 Bitcoins?
Yeah.
No, it wasn't QNT. DNT?
So look at the volume here. Sia coin, 4. Storm, 5. Key, 6. This is on the Bitcoin side, right? If you switch this over to the BNB market and you look at volume here, 45 BNB, 45, so these markets are so thin, like on this BNB. Let's look at Sia coin. Let's look at the trade order history. Super tiny, like basically bids and asks. Super tiny. Nothing like too crazy. There was a 2 million one back here at 19, but it just kind of goes back and forth. And that just can eat down super far into the order. But let's look at Loon. Loon's probably a good one. Look at these small, tiny orders. 1.28. And look at what they're selling it for. 1,076, 1,078, 1,088. So it's literally stepping the price up on nothing. 136, 1, 2, 97, just nothing in these orders, and it can move the price up or down wherever it wants to move the price. I mean, this went up 30 to 40 satoshis on less than 100, 200, 300 currencies, and you can see here there's very little buy walls, sell walls on these coins. So on these charts like this can just all be done with an automated sell program that's just kind of bid and asking all the way down. But you can, if the books are thin enough, like if there's no buy walls, you can do this with like less than a couple of Bitcoin. You could have market bought here and then you just sell it down. And then what's crazy is market makers can hold on to a 40 to 50% drop, because they know when they've accumulated enough, when all the weekends have sold into their bids, they can just pump it, because the order books are so thin that they can just move this, 100, 200, 300, 400%. And let's say they bought here on this pump, right? Well, they can just take this and they can push it above, and they're buying into it. So that's kind of how this market works, especially on low liquidity DNT. Got the site from the chat. Okay. Looks very similar to the other chart that we just looked at. I mean, there's not much to say on this chart. I don't even, like I said, I would probably just stick to, we already looked up DNT. Yeah, DNT doesn't have any fundamental catalyst going on. So most likely we probably just see this, keep tapping this trend line. So we're at 70. I would not be surprised if this goes to like 30 or 40. Okay, I am going to go get my daughter to bed, and I will be back in a little bit. And I will let Chinggis take over and cover some of the charts that he's seeing. Can you cover those top coins that I was looking at?
I can. Phantom, Hypercash, Knowles, Strat, Matic, Cos, Fet, Seller, and Eternity.
Yeah.
Got it.
All right, cool.
I'm on it, Captain. All right, B&B, just for shits and giggles, is $23. So just throwing that out there, and that's really cheap. All right, FTN. Let's do BTC, and then I'll roll into the ones that do have a USDT market. I'll scope those out really quick. So Phantom's crushing it, man. This looks great. So the high side move, which is only just one of many swing fails, in this chart, right? But the overall chart, right, the larger swing fail, the big guy to look at was this one here, right? We already broke and closed above it, pushed, and then we ended up getting another swing fail. So a new swing fail is born, right? But so everything obviously underneath the trend line is garbage and resistance, and we can play the little moves up and down. But for the most part, right, we remain bearish until a cross up, over, and close, which is what we have finally on the daily chart. So fantastic look right here. Good push to the bottom, little tweezer bottom, right? We broke this level, which was super important. Right. So once we create like these resistance levels on these turnarounds, that's where it gets like really important to make sure, you crush that level. Generally speaking, we should have came down and done a retest. Not to say we're out of the woods yet. We could very easily break down to the 618, push back down to the 236, and then we would have our retest on support. Even further down, right, would then get us our retest on our swing fail, which is pretty key. For now, we can ride the fib channels. A good move like this, we'd be looking at targets locally. 423 would be the high side target, 786 of the larger move. So this is essentially the long, not the long term, but this is like all eyes are up here for now. So Phantom does look great. This is good, on the 4 hour, 1 hour charts. Then you expect some pullbacks. But for everything that Bitcoin's been doing and for this thing to be crushing it, that's beautiful. All right, so that's Phantom. Let's do Phantom USDT. We'll take a look at that real quick. So Phantom USDT, of course, the chart's going to look a little bit different. Major swing fail. Let me get rid of this. Is more or less a channel. Do I want it? Do I want to keep it? Do I want to get rid of it? You're killing me. All right. So the major swing fail is already painted on here. That's this and this. So we can make that whatever color you guys want. No, we can't. We're going to make it red. All right. Very good. So same deal, right? Everything underneath that, bearish until a big break and close above. We got it here. Now this is what I'm talking about. This is what you should see on a proper flip. Break, push, close above, retest right here. All right, so you can see my, sometimes they call them like Hail Mary orders, but these are like, if it were to get down here, I'm buying. On this move, though, it would have to be on this move, and it didn't, right? It found support on a trend right here, right? So up, high side, higher high, swing back, kick, flip, and a retest. Also the push from the longer swing fail. That's the big red one. Big red, down, 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 push, break above, push, clip, drop back down for the retest. All right, so this is primed and then ready to go. This already has fibs on here, 423 target on here. Much different, right? Because this one we're lining up with about the 382. So it's a different move. It's a different play. Short-term target was right here. That was earlier today. So that was actually pretty good. The bigger move is 36. But some of these in this market, I like to take the smaller 10% rips and then get the hell out. Holding it for a 36, 40, 50, 60, 70 is great, but it's no longer a rip. It becomes a swing trade. Sure, you could buy this now, and in 90 days, you should have made 30%. Or this thing tanks and drops to never seen before lows. So why do that to yourself, right? If you can get in and out of a trade and then use that capital that is in the middle of a pullback doing nothing but losing money and get into a winning trade, wouldn't that be serving your capital better? For sure. All right, so again, Phantom, both sides, USDT and Bitcoin both look good. Sweet. So I'll do like a pair and then I'll double check chat, make sure I'm not missing anything here. Good buy zone, Isaac Scott for ICX. All right, let me do ICX real quick. I assume you mean Bitcoin because you said nothing. All right, what do we got here? Oh, whoa, geez. ICX, the buy zone is at 1 set. And no, so the buy zone's already on here. We must have already looked at this. So this is the pullback I'm waiting for after this larger move up here. You can see we came up to the 70, tapped out, lost it, dropped down below the 50, retested it. So this is what I was talking about for Bitcoin, right? So picture your moving average, right? You break below, close, push back up, retest, push back down, and then further downside, right? So that's why, like, the guys who sold their Bitcoin, I'm like, why? Because if we get the retest, right, you're looking at further upside. You could sell it at, instead of selling it now, right, you'd be able to sell it whatever the retest would be. We'd have to look at the chart, but it's too late, so it doesn't matter. This is what we're looking at. Right, so this would have been the immediate buyback on a flash, flash wick down. Now we're on structure, so this makes more sense. Structure can get front run by MAs, strong MAs. 20 MA on a daily chart is strong. That's the red line right here. So there is a chance if we do get this buyback zone that we end up getting front run by the MA buyers, right? Like that. And they'll buy up the MA before you get a chance to even get down here. All right. So that's ICX. All right. Hypercash. Hypercash does not have, it does have Tether on Huobi. Hypercash. Let's go BTC Binance. All right. So Hypercash, 24-hour charts. Okay, good swing fail, huge W pattern. Overall, took the break from the single move, right? 1, 2, 3. So this is a valid trend line. Big move down, large move up, kind of a double top, but I mean, technically no, but pretty close to a double top. Ended up getting a big push down with a tiny, tiny, tiny retrace. Got killed at the 20. Came down, found support on the swing fail right here. So swing fail and confluence with first bottom, right? First area of support, which ended up being a double bottom, which is what brought you your first, your first major swing fail. I don't really count listing wicks, so I'm not even going to bother with this because to me, you could list anything at whatever the hell you want, and it doesn't make any difference. I want to see actual trading. So this is good. So you do have a double bottom, and a double bottom, which is very weird. So it's kind of like a huge inverse head and shoulders, but we're not going to go down that road right now. For now, we know that we found support on trend, bounced off of it with a pretty sizable freaking move here. 95% move. That's pretty ridiculous. So far, it looks like we've pulled back at least to the 618. Let's take a look. 786. So this is actually, buying time. If we were to do structure, right? Structure would be right here, which would be more in tune with the 886. It's actually right on the 886. So, 786, 886, pick your poison. One's going to be right, one's going to be wrong, or they could both be wrong. So if you were to get this, right, the time to buy would have been 2158. For me, I might still be thinking 1987. Let's see. The rejection was nice, but it's on nothing. There's nothing here. You got this level right here, which was kind of like, your high side accumulation. That's your pause before further downside. So, I mean, it's an okay level. It's not the bee's knees or anything. Try the 4-hour chart. Nothing's going to be up that high, though. You have to go to like the weekly. Let's see. I ain't got nothing. It's not like they're playing off of the arrow. I mean, it just wouldn't make any sense. Could be like a 350 all the way up there. Ugh. So this is the hourly chart. You got 200 MA. I mean, maybe, they sort of like breached it, tested it. So this is kind of like a 3-time test. Kind of support resistance flip on the 200 EMA and sort of a support on the 50. So the hourly chart has some interesting reactions. It does have some interesting reactions. So that buyback on the hourly looks really good, actually. So that's pretty bullish for hourly to dump that much and have that much buyback. Almost 50% of the candles bought back. So overall, that is pretty good. Kind of want that thing to settle down a little bit, or at least give you some type of confirmation. As far as like patterns, like this thing broke south, like you wouldn't typically ever be touching this in the moment. Right. So, I mean, it'd be like ballpark, you kind of have support, resistance, 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 resistance. So it's sort of your pattern, kind of a symmetrical triangle at the top of a local uptrend. Should have broke north for it to be an actual bull pennant. It broke south. So, I mean, it's not great. I wouldn't go in just yet. I might be looking at that 87 marker, though. Not bad. Let's see. Breakout was right here. So if you went by the pattern, right, the entry or the final would be this right here, 2167. Pretty good. All right, so that is Hypercash BTC. We're not going to bother with the tether pair right now because I want to make sure I get the rest of these in. Hourly chart does sort of show cup and handle, though, which is pretty interesting. So if you were to do a cup and handle on this, let's see, deep pullback would be like a 618. Pullback now, it's like right on the 709. That's wild. Super deep if you're going to do cup and handle. So if you're going to do cup and handle on the bullish side targets, you'd be looking at something like this. Downside up, we'll call the neck. Yep. Here. And then break to the upside off of that. Drop you about a 14% gain, push you all the way up to about 2834-ish. All right, so Hypercash is interesting. Something to keep an eye on. On the bigger, the bigger picture, right, the daily picture from this double bottom to this double bottom, you still have, you're well within doing what you need to do, right? So you're doing that. So long broadside brought in wedge to the upside. So it could be very interesting. Very interesting. All right. Let me scope the chat real quick. See if you guys are talking about tacos. Not even talking about tacos. I mean, what's the point of chat if you're not going to talk about tacos? That's crazy. Ugh, unbelievable. All right, let's see. Knowles. Knowles have a tether? Oh, they do have a tether. Thought they did. All right. Oh, geez, this looks terrible. Jeez, so sharp. So this is what a failed cup and handle looks like. It's when you have a cup and then your handle just keeps on going. All right, so we do see a reversal, local. Of course, every other reversal failed. I feel like we've talked about this coin a lot. You know, sharp downturn, higher lows, consolidation, push up, good move, fails again. Higher lows, good consolidation, good push up, resistance, fails again. Bad push up, got barely nothing, huge dump, huge dump. All right, so now here we are again with a higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low. So we're starting to create a trend. This is something you want to look at. You know, we get like targets on here. And then this is something like you pop on the 4-hour chart, right? Because, you know, any further looking at this thing and your head will spin. So what we want to look for is the actual move. And if we have a trend, so something like that. Okay. It's not a great trend, but it's a trend. So like kind of, there we go. We like pulled away from it, right? So that's kind of why I say it's not a great trend, and it's already like lost its slope, which is weird. It's like super weird. Let me see something real quick. Man, that's really good. Jeez, that's great. Low side, high side, okay. Yeah. Wow. Okay. Yeah, this this got some potential. All right, let's focus. Let's stop messing around here, guys. You got me all like, yeah, I'm losing my concentration. All right, here we go. High side. You can see it was used right here, wicked out. Up to the 70 EMA is good. Low side right here. That's your resistance buyback level. You can see they already bought it. Very good. A little bit of a push and then a pullback here. You're fighting right now to get the 50. You haven't reclaimed the 50, 20 down. So you do have that C clamp formation right here where you have faster MA creeping in, hasn't made the cross yet. Slower MA to the top side, creating resistance, adding support, right? You got a little bit of a C clamp here. What you want is to cross 20 above the 50 with price above both. So to get that, you're going to have to fight a little bit. And that's what they're doing right now. They're just kind of like beating it down. So you need, on the daily chart, you need a break and close above the 50, right? That you need because you've had so much reaction to it. Now you sort of need to reclaim it. If not, then you go sideways or down for quite a while before the 20 gives up. And then eventually just through time, right, these two will merge. You'll have like a 2050 merge, which is exactly what we have on Bitcoin right now, that 2050. If you've seen in the update, right, those two MAs at the top side that are like exactly the same level, at least they were this morning. And then this is something we would see like, all right, it's respected the MAs. So that's something that will probably play. So because the reaction with the 20 and the reaction with the 50, this is something that would say, all right, we'll reclaim the 50 and we'll go for the 100 right here. Reclaim the 100, we go for the 200. 200 is also structure, historical support resistance. So we like all of that. All right. Getting over this level here adds like a new sense of confidence in a bullish sentiment, right? Because that would be the one of the first times, at least the first time in this local trend, where your reversal high actually traded higher, right, than your previous lower high, right? So all this little intra micro trend is all cool, but it's worthless until you reclaim a level. We haven't reclaimed any structural levels because there's nothing here. So that's what I'd be looking for on this, is at least push break, take over the 50. You already have the 20. You got the 790 EMAs. So you're good on that. The aggressive trader can buy and push, right? And if you see resistance over here, don't be surprised. That's your 70 that you've already got stopped out at once, plus the structure levels. You should break through it, though. You've already tested it this time here. You don't really need to test it again. Of course, you didn't touch it. You know, you were close, but you didn't quite make it. You could do something like this and see if this gives you any levels. That also makes sense. 2618 level to the top side target. Structure lows right here. So yeah, that works. Something like that. 3618 structure highs to the top side. It's funny how that all lines up. And then the 423 would be like your solid one, not really anything over there. 3618 target as you get up there could also be the 200 MA or close to it. And that's on the daily chart. So pretty good overall. Knowles, BTC not looking bad. Knowles USDT. Don't make fun of my charts. All right. I know. I get it. I put them on and you guys are like, what the hell am I looking at? It's cool. It's cool. My chart didn't hurt you. Maybe temporary blindness, but nothing permanent. That's, and that's pretty important. All right, you got the low, you got the high, you got the higher low and the higher high. Same deal. So you're trying to stage a turnaround here. But do you have cause? Oh God, look at this. How cool is that? Look at that super rounded bottom, massive M pattern. That's really cool. So with an M, right, you come down to midpoint, I guess is what they call it. So you come down to the midpoint of the M, right? And then this is like sort of your make or break here. When you get to this level, you typically would short it. All right. If you have an M, right, typically you would get to that level. It should be resistance, and then you short. If you break it though, it like turns into a whole nother world of cool. And then you're like, so then you start working off these highs or like mid levels, and then you start like pushing for like something like up here. So cool stuff. Cool stuff. Anyway, on the local side. All right. So why is this? Oh, okay. I didn't use the wick on this one, I suppose. Whatever. I got some old trades on here. Looks like they panned out. That's pretty sweet. Anyway. All right. Let's just, sorry. Sometimes spend a little too much time talking to myself. All right. Here we go. Swing fail, top to the upside, up, break, and retest, right? This is what we always look for. Swing fail, push, close above, come back down, retest, push off, right? That's why we had those targets on there, because now we look for where we're going to come back to. And then, again, you look for structure like this, these levels. These are all structured. This was broke right here. Good. With like a tiny close above. So, not great. MAs, again, very similar to the BTC chart. 50s coming in, resistance. We did at least clip the 70 this time. And now your 200 EMA and your 100 MA and your 200 MA are all kind of converging that same spot on the 50 line from this drop. So a 50% retrace back from the local topside body high. Not exactly top side wick wise. Excuse me. So 618, perfect confluence, structure levels, 786, perfect confluence. Structure levels, 382, it's okay. Not great. 236, I mean, structure on a pullback. Yeah, I guess. All right, whatever. That's fine. So we're looking at this, and we do want to just double check these targets here. So we would say something like that. 423. So we'd be looking 423, 382, confluence. So that would be kind of like the larger target, somewhere in that ballpark. And then, of course, we're watching all these zones in the meantime, right? So that little block right here where they all converge, right? We're looking at all of those, where the 50 lines up, the strength of move, volume and trend, breaking previous structure levels on the way up, all this junk, right? You need a break and close above this. You didn't. All you did was wick through it. So yeah, a lot of work, but definitely looks good. Easy play right here, easy invalidation. Just don't take anything underneath the 20. Will it come back for a buy at that level? Now, I mean, I think that is your buy. You know what I mean? That would have been your buy. It doesn't need to come back down again. It had a massive push. You can see it had a huge push and was totally rejected, and came back down with a higher low. Yeah, I don't think that this needs to come down any lower. It might be done with that move. So that would have been the buy, right? The structure level buy down here. And again, you like go on the 4 hour to hourly and look at like intra levels to get in as buys on pullbacks during trends, but this would actually be the target. Breakdown, like invalidation, is just like a break and close below the 20. You know what I mean? Like this MA, where you lose that or you lose structure, and then it's over. You could come back down for a double bottom, or you could start making lower lows. So that's the good thing about like clear patterns and clear price action, because it's very easy to tell, like, all right, this just turned into garbage. We're done with it. Okay, strats. Strat Bitcoin. All right. So Strat had a good move earlier today, even with the dump. So really not bad overall, all things considered. Huge move to the downside. This thing. Ugh. All right. Let's get rid of that. I'll tell you. I kind of want to keep that. Ugh. All right. Anyway. So I do want to sort of find the fail on this thing. Find a trend that makes sense here. All right, so we are up and over. We didn't get our retest, so that kind of upsets me a little. I like the retest. We didn't get it. Kind of feel like we got robbed right here. Should have gotten a retest. It is a super steep slope, all things considered, but whatever. That's a horrible excuse. We should have gotten a retest, and we didn't. So, I'll rock myself to sleep about it later. Don't worry about it. It's all right. Structure levels. Let's see, something like that. All right, so this way you have your structure level here. It was resistance across the board until we broke it, came back, retested it, pushed off the 20, smashed up to the 50, dropped back down again to structure level highs. Like that. All right, so this is also good to go. This is one of those trades that it's like, you kind of caught it, right after it happened. So you didn't necessarily want to buy here. That would be really, really, really risky. And you didn't exactly want to just buy into resistance, which would have been the 50. So, it's some of these you got to sort of sit out for a little bit and let them do something first, so that you have an idea of whether it's even worth it. So structure highs lines up with the 70. Structure lows don't really line up with anything. Sorry, can't win them all. Let's see, your 200 is way the hell up there. It'd be targeting probably the 100 on this thing. Yeah, so this would be fairly clean. Invalidation would be losing the 79 EMAs. That'd be enough to get me out of it. Now, if we don't count this out, you know, that's doable. Get your actual retest. Now, remember, this break is kind of crappy anyway. It's not the most beautiful break. It's just kind of like sideways trading. So you can see this is like the world's worst cup and handle. And then your little pullback handle. And then a big shoot up. It's not great. It might look better on like an hour chart, but it's pretty terrible. All right, so that's Strat. I don't think Strat has a tether pair. Not on Binance. No, it hit BTC, but no. All right. Matic. Yeah. All right. Matic. Okay, so Matic. Let's see. Matic 24-hour chart into the pitchfork up. Let's see. Down from the heart line. We pushed up again, found resistance, dropped back down again, larger swing fail. Now we're just like, for lack of better words, we're just sort of molesting this swing fail line. So from your swing fail right here, bang, 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 right? You're just all over it. So not really a great reaction, but you are using it, right? So support, resistance, support, resistance, support, resistance, until, a decision is made. That could go on, until something else steps up to the plate and takes over. It would have been the 50 MA, which would have been great. But we're trading below the 50 MA right now. So very interesting. If we're to lose that, I would expect more downside. Make more sense. We do have some structure levels that are kind of like iffy. Double bottom's not out of the question, coming all the way back down to the 80 zone. Yep. There's not a whole lot of historics on this. So if you lose the pitchfork, which we're losing, but we can reclaim it right now. If we lose the pitchfork, shows strength and trend is more or less dead at that point. Further downside would be expected. You didn't exactly get a double top. I think you're really close here. I mean, let's see. Nah, I mean, you're not that close. You're off. This would be a local swing fail. And it'd be like that if you use the body candles. We had a symmetrical triangle. This is what I talk about with patterns. All right. It should break 50 to 75% through the pattern. You get this closer to the apex, it's no longer a valid pattern. You can leave it up there for the trend lines, but it's not a symmetrical triangle by technical definition. All right. All it did was bleed out. So there's no push up, break out, retest. Like there's none of that. You don't measure the move. You don't do anything. It's garbage. It's just like it's just another drawing on my chart to confuse more people with. You guys go with that? Excellent. All right, Matic USDT. Okay. So on the USDT side, we had a massive falling wedge into a symmetrical. See, now this is what should happen, right? This is a pattern. So about, I don't know, we'll call that 60-something% into the pattern, right? You got a break to the downside. Now you'd like to get a retest and then a push, but you can't have them all. Now, generally speaking, it should have broke to the upside if we were in a prevailing uptrend, which you can't exactly call that one impulse move a prevailing uptrend, but it would have been nice, but it's not, so it's over, so whatever. So now you take the move, right? You take the measured move from here. So from the bottom, right, to the top side of the, what do you call it? Oh, I'm sorry, I did that wrong. So since you're going down now, from the high, from the high side to the low side, drag it to the breakout, And that's your expected move, 56% down. Ooh, baby. So if we have a trend nearby, let's just go ahead and put our little indicator thing over here. So, this would be a perfect example of what happens when you don't get the retest. All right. Remember how upset I just was? You break a swing fail and you don't get the retest. Swing fail, bang. All right. Well, trend, bang, break, failed retest, all resistance, break, no retest. You know where you get the retest? All the way down here. Very interesting. So if we, you gotta love TA, man. If we were to come down here, look at the swing high from the open, which is what I'm on right now. Just like, a little kick to the downside to cover any wickage. And that would be a little support line retest from historical support resistance. So that's one scenario, very bearish scenario. If we ride the bullish scenario, it would look similar to this. Swing fail, high side, break, rejection, break and close, failed, swung back up, break and close, failed, well, got resistant, got support, came back for a double. So a double retest, find support on the 786, push for further upside. Okay, so you'll know this is invalid two ways. One, you lose the 7-8 and forget about it, right? You may not go all the way down there, but the 7-8 more than likely is not going to hold you if it's not going to hold you now, right? So picture that dead. Look for like a double bottom in this ballpark zone here, or like one of our original buy zones. All right. Or you come back up, don't get faked out here. It could come right back up and get the retest, right? And then further downside where you get that 56% downside. If you breach back into the pattern and close above and find support, which means you flipped it, then it's no longer valid. And expect that move to the downside's over, and you'd be looking for further upside, whether it's going to be a fight or it's going to be like a hot butter through knife is anybody's question. Or anybody's, you know what I'm talking about. All right, let's see. That was Matic, BTC USD, COS. Now the COS, see, I don't think there's a whole lot of history on this thing. Oh. I'm not sure what I did. What am I doing? This candle is the high of the local trend. This is like fun little notes I find on my chart sometimes. This is cool. Not let's read it. Let's all read it out loud together like a classroom. This candle is the high of the local trend. What time frame did I have it on that I could have fit all this stuff on? Usually on the 4, I guess. Well, yeah, I guess it was a daily. All right, so here we go. All right, so yeah, this candle was the high of the local trend. I guess not really. There's no trend, but okay, sure. This candle failed to make a higher. Oh, this was for one of you guys. Somebody didn't understand swing fails in the Discord, so I did this little thing for them so that they could try to visualize it. Yeah. So this candle failed to make a higher high. Boom. So everybody's back in score right now. That's your swing fail. So on the daily chart, this would be the current level you would need to break and close above. So that level, so I guess at the time, that day, it was here, you would have needed a break and close above in order to consider this thing, into a new bullish trend or something along those lines. Obviously, we didn't get that, and we had further downside here. The red line will act as resistance, right, because of the swing fail, and it will for the life of this chart until you break and close above it. And class is dismissed. So you can see we found support at the 706. So very cool. We are still trading below the 7.9 EMA and the 20 MA, and we're still below the swing fail. So nothing really to look at here. I'd like to see a break and close above that and then push for further upside. But right now for COS, not a whole lot. COS, USDT. All right, so it's very much the same. So swing fail is the big. I don't know what this guy's doing here. Might have been like a 1 hour chart thing. Not sure what this guy is here. That could go, and I'm not 100% sure what this guy. I must have had it before all these candles were here because there's no reason for this now. But if it was over here, then we're looking for a trend. When you don't have any history, you just got to put a bunch of stuff on charts and see what happens. So your level here, yeah, I mean, it doesn't even matter really. So let's see, that's your high side. Price came down, tried again. Price came down. So your swing fails up here. I'm not sure why this is all like jacked up. Well, we could put this all the way down here now. Something like that. Something like this. Sometimes I'll throw these on the chart as like visual guidance. So like technically speaking, right, you need a break and close above this wick, right? Because that's where price was. So if you're going to make a higher high, you have to get higher than that. So this whole area in here becomes like a cautionary period. You haven't made a higher high yet. So you're still bound to the restrictions of resistance, overhead, pressure. So all you did up here was you made a high and then you're continuing down. So if we found this fib level, we could do this. For now, something similar to that. Okay, nothing significant. That's odd. Nothing significant. It is currently held up by nothing at all. Now, this could be one of those deals where they don't use fibs, like on Wix. Let's see what that looks like. 706. Looks a whole hell of a lot better. So you have to, I think we talked about this a while back, but you got to like understand who's trading it and how they're trading it. And that'll give you insight into what they're willing to do with it and how they're willing to do it. So these particular cats decided that they don't like Wix on the daily. So you can see the respect right here, right? So respect on the 382, respect on the 236, full respect, resistance on the 382. Not a whole lot of action on the 5, except your one rejection point. Came back down to 618, 618 support, 618 resistance. Tested up to the 5, failed, came down, support on the 706, 706, 706, 706, 706. Bang. Just like that. So again, you're looking for a break and close above, a push above here, and then you can start looking to get long. Otherwise, it's just get short, baby. All right, FET BTC. What? Don't get out of here with that nonsense. All right, FET has done some things. FET has made some lower lows, dear Lord. All right, FET. Okay, overall chart. Yes, look at that. Look at it, just ride it until see you later. So yeah, I mean, it looks bad. Of course, you do have you got a couple patterns here. You got the big falling wedge. So the swing fail would also be the top side falling wedge. Be like this, something like that. We could say we found support. All right. Local swing fail, no dice. But right here, so you found support, temporarily for now. I don't know. This doesn't look great. You know, really held down by the faster EMAs, really held down by the 20. The 20 jacked everything up right here, jacked it right up here. And that's all like heavy downtrend. So we haven't put in anything that looks reverse-able. This is going to be a pretty key level here. Let's put all the junk back on. We'd like to, like things are just like resizing in front of me. What is going on here? Things are just moving. Very strange. This would have been a great range to keep, but we broke and lost it, so not good. This is the swing fail from the top side. This is the local swing fail right here. I'll just make that like blue. So that swing fail right here, you know, this was a good break and close. So this was good. Your confirmation candle said get lost. Came back up, flipped it. So now it flipped short and further resistance. So not too much to look at here, not on the daily at least. FET USDT. All right. Okay. So let's see. We got a bit of a channel here. Channel looks good. We got like heavy space between everything. This is your original big swing fail. This we could probably do like we can get rid of that. All right, look. All right, I help you guys out there. Is that better? All right, so let's do it again. I'll do it again. All right, so major swing fail here. And make that red. Yeah, okay. So major swing fail. All right, secondary swing fail is going to be this guy here. All right. And we'll probably cut the wicks and do something that makes a little bit more sense. So we could see we have this, you know, downside Brownian wedge that we're sort of trading in. Now, price, remember, price is not respecting anything here. It's not even touching it. It just gives you an idea of where a reaction may be. So since there's nothing in the horizon on the downside, that is a downside target. That's what we'd be looking for. Also, you know, something like this. Open this puppy. Oh, we do. Oh, go. That's not good for you now, is it, FET? 127 is all the way down to 182. Oh, jeez. Wow. That's disgusting. So that would be a great buy all the way down here in this ballpark. Whoo, geez. That would be awesome. You know, it's not that it's unlikely. Like if we were up here and I told you, hey, you know, we'll be trading at like 500 and we're at 2,500 up here. And then we painted this higher high at 3,500. And I still told you we're coming to 500. You know, you wouldn't believe me. And here we are. We're at 500. So can it happen? For sure. You know, we could just keep going down. Right now, that's what we're doing. We're headed down. After the move today, that was a very strong move down, and FET felt every second of it. I mean, look at the pain that it brought. This was like almost visually, it looks like a perfect downward channel. Let's see if we can like put it on here. What? Interesting. Okay. Oh yeah, because I got rid of that stuff. So check out that channel. Is that hard to see? Probably, right? Let's do this. Let's do that, and we'll make it red. Like easier, better. Okay. So that's the channel that it was in. Ping pong, ping pong, ping pong, ping pong. Took the median line here and then dropped. So we could see a bit of a buyback, a little push up, retest, and confirmation for further downside. We find support on our Brownian wedge, on our trend. It would actually be like a massive swing fail flip. Maybe. Otherwise, we have like nothing local to look at. That's your major extension play, 127. And that's sort of what you got. That's about it. All right, so that was FET, Tether. What else we got? Seller. Whew. So Seller BTC. All right, so what the heck? This thing looks. They all look terrible. All right, so Seller. I got all sorts of weird stuff I was doing on here. I don't even know what these little dots are. All right, anyway. So good retrace from the initial drop. Right up here. That's actually a pretty good spot. Previous structure, and then it just dumped. The orange line is the major swing fail from the local trend, and we're not even like close to it. So for the attempt that it looked like we tried to make, which is all of this nonsense that you got in here, the big W pattern, the heavy resistance, it was heavy resistance. Don't buy. This is why. When I say break and close above, I mean it, right? Because no break and close above, and you get this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You get 5 days of rejection. Where like if we were down here and we saw the bounce, and I was like, all right, we're looking for a break and close above previous structure, and you're like, well, I'm buying it now. Like hell yeah, if we're going up, we're going up, and then. You would have held it back here through the trend, which would have been invalidation. But then you say, well, let me hang out for another day because they got support on the 20. And then it goes up and you're like, oh, that's great. We're good. It's just a little hiccup in the plan. And then a huge dump, right? Another 7% down from a trade you should have never been in the first place. So that's why say that the things that we say. So down, I guess we don't really need this anymore. Whatever it was doing, it's now been repurposed. All right. This would be double bottom area. So if we do achieve a double bottom, then we can start looking at these levels again. Nothing changes here. This still becomes, resistance. And we still want to break and close above our swing fail. All right. So not a ton on Seller at the moment. Double bottom play would be nice. That's something that's super easy in validation. And then it's like if it crosses this line, you're out. You know what I mean? Give it like a 1% and then you're done. Cut the trade. So that's really cool. Seller USDT. Okay, so you can see how tether pair is a little bit different. We actually have a support line to look at, and we found support on it currently, which is this right here. You got a little bit of a buyback. All right, so the buyback's in, tested before yesterday and tested again today. No difference here as far as major levels of support that we need to get through. Let me see where the major swing fail is here. Looks like everything's red on this chart. A little confusing. All right, so that level, I'm going to make that orange. Right. Okay, so that's the major level, swing fail. We're in a little bit of a falling wedge pattern. It's not the greatest wedge, but you will take it for now. A break to the downside here, right, would spell new lows. I think we're already on. Are we already on new lows? Yeah, we sure are. What is going on? Oh, wow. That's awesome. Yeah, so we're already painting new lows. We lost what would have been a fantastic level of support for a double bottom, big, like historical double bottom. Didn't get it. Nobody cared. We just broke right through it and then smashed down to this local trend right here. So, again, a break to the downside spells further lows, dramatic, sound the horns, send the troops, sellers free, that type of thing. And then a push to the upside is resistance at the swing fail into immediate structure resistance, into immediate structure resistance, into immediate MA resistance. So the upside has a lot of work to do. The downside can literally go to zero if it wants, and I'm not sure who's going to stop it. I'm sure somebody will. But awesome buying opportunities down low, because this is again one of those fundamental projects that'll hang around for a little while, and it's not like you see these things so that the big guys can get better better prices. You know what I mean? Like they come into the market now and they're like, oh, I want like 20 million seller. I don't want to pay this price for it. So they're like, all right, well, I'll buy 5 million at this price, and then I'll use that to push the price down into the ground, force everyone to sell, and then provide liquidity for myself as I use my other, what did I say, 20 million? So use my other 15 million left to fill all those orders down at one and buy, because that's where I want to be buying. Anyway, Eternity Bitcoin. I just saw it. Okay, let's do that.
I'm back too. If you need me to cover some stuff.
You're back.
Yeah, I just got back. My daughter, she took a
guy.
while to fall asleep tonight.
Oh, well, it's all right. We're on the last chart, so nick of time there, buddy. So, all right, this now this coin goes back a while for me. When we talk about price discovery and lower lows, right now this is just an idea at the time, but when I did it, the people I did it for thought I was totally freaking crazy, and sure enough, bang, 423. Not only did we find support on the way down, we got that low. So just like we did on that other chart where we were talking about 500 sats, where it was trading at 3,500 sats, and would it be, a shock and awe if we got down to 180? No, it's totally possible. It's 100% conceivable, and we've seen it. These things happen. So these coins trade. I mean, just look at it. The chart is just down. It's only down. There's nothing up. Every time it did go up, these are all opportunities to make money, which is fantastic in trading. But the overall coin is down. There's nothing bullish about this at all. In fact, there won't be anything bullish about it until you start crossing some of these major levels. And then you can, clearly say, all right, you're in a local bull trend. But until you actually flip this thing, you're very much in a downtrend. But you need to know where can you find some of these levels as they show up in price discovery, because nothing really makes sense. You never traded this low before. You don't have any historical data to support anything on here. So then that's where we come up with using extensions on a chart in order to sort of guide us in a way. Same thing with trend lines. You got 1-2 touches on them. Then you sort of look for that validation touch down the road, and that's something that you could probably use. So something right here, from the listing high all the way down to the first low, the first major low where price reversed, and then you went high, a little bit higher than a double top. But that's your high from the move. So your extensions off of this move can help you determine everything that happens on the downside moving forward on a larger scale. Now, of course, this 127 didn't hold. I wish it did. It would have been a great example, but hey, you can't win them all. That would be a target level on the way down to at least find some sort of reaction. And we didn't really get much. So it's a terrible example, unfortunately. Sorry, guys. But we broke through it, hesitated for a minute, sort of came back up and retested it. This will be an important level as we come up based off of structure. So whether it was important on the way down or important on the way up, it is actually an important level, which is nice. But it does give us a clue as to possible further downside. And as we're looking at 344, unfortunately, zero is right about here. So we shouldn't be going any lower than that. So 1.4 and 1.6 aren't going to make any difference on this particular chart. But as we look at it right now, just from a bird's eye view real quick, again, very similar to the other charts. You have local action, higher lows, just like this, which failed, just like these two, which failed, and this whole setup over here, which was a lot nicer, and that failed. But again, you could play all these moves, and these moves are small, right? A move just from, today to the 50, which is that white line right there. That's going to be a really decent move for this type of coin. I would like to get my thing up. There we go. So 13% is awesome, right? The 13% on a trade that at this point, if we just mark our structure lines, it's kind of a no-brainer. This is going to be your level of resistance, because when you came down, you found support, you pushed up. This was your first area of resistance before you started to turn this thing around. So that's the level to beat. You could tell you weren't able to beat it, not able to beat it, not able to beat it, not able to beat it. Resistance, 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 resistance. So that's the level to beat. Now, unfortunately, if you wait for the break and close above on a level like this, that means by the time you get into this thing, if you bought a retest, now you're down to 9.5%, which still, in my eyes, that's a fantastic play. So on the local side, daily chart, you got the 20S support, and you got your 7.9 EMAs are being tested right now. You got a little bit of a local trend line here that you could paint just to give yourself a visual. And this is good. No, you could breach it, right? You don't want to close below it. That sort of invalidates everything. So this gives you, an ascending triangle now. It's not the greatest. You do have a ton of resistance towards the apex. Price has been climbing the whole way. Volume has been climbing with it, which is something it's kind of rare these days to actually even say volume is doing anything. But this is one of the few coins that has volume consistently pushing up above average for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, above average for 7 days. That's pretty good. So people are buying into this for sure. There's definitely some interest, and we have very obvious levels, clear invalidation points across the board. You close anything underneath the trend, you're out. Anything underneath the 20, and you're out. You can let it hesitate on like these little rocker supports, something like down like that. You can allow like a push down, but you certainly don't want to close below that. But you can push it. That just makes your stop a little wider. Easy target areas, 51st, come up to structure. That'll be around the 70, play to 70, next level to 100. And each one of those is like you pull the profits out, you wait for it to pull back, you buy back in, push up to the next level, pull your profits out, right? Let it pull back, buy back in, push up to the next one, because it won't go forever, right? It'll eventually get tired. And when it gets tired, you don't want to be stuck holding it. So you want to say, yeah, I locked in, a whole bunch of profits. It was awesome. When the whole thing was said and done, maybe it was 40 to 60% on 5 or 6 different plays, but you never had to sit there and put your capital at risk, right? And not use it for making money while waiting for all these other things to happen. Not too much confluence here, but 423 that's sort of like trend, what do you call it? Trend exhaustion on like a move like this, on like a reversal move like this. So it's an area to look for like, all right, have we made what we needed to make? Like, is this thing ready to turn around, or are we just going to get further downside? Again, when you start getting into the lower highs of structure and you start breaking those, that's when you start getting into some very interesting territory. You can see that level right here, this level lines up with the 2618 structure high perfectly. It's actually very close to that 127 extension from over there, which is also really cool to look at. And a push up to there would be fantastic. If you were to do it without pulling any profits, and let's say you bought in at that resistance level, the top side, up to the 2618 is a 30% move. Up to the 423 is a 60% move. By the time you get there, yeah, the 100 is still going to be too high, but it'll be closer. You might have some confluence with the 100. The 26 has some confluence with the 70. And again, first level target that you got to get over is that 50. But you do have the 20 on the daily, and that's huge. Getting that back is, it has been challenging. So you're due for at least one move. Whether it's only to the 50 and then just further downside is anybody's guess, but you're due for a move, and this is okay for right now. All right, JC is back.
So you went through all those charts that we were looking at, identified
Just-
some buy areas.
Just finished with the Phantom, Hypercash, Knoll Strat, Manic, Cost, FET, Seller, and ETH.
Okay. Before we hop off, you already did Knowles?
I did.
All right. Well,
ETC and USDT. What?
nice work. Nice work. Give him
I
a
don't know.
round of
There-
applause in chat.
There's not a lot of talking in chat. I thought, we talk a little.
And
maybe,
you covered Ren a little bit.
share some memories. No, Ren was not on the list. I did not.
Yeah, Ren getting smacked down. It's at the 88.6 retracement level.
Hey,
Well, actually, let me.
whoa. Jeez. Looks like a music note.
Okay, so we're actually breaking the 61.8. We broke our trend line back here. And it looks like we're probably going to head to the 78.6 level. So we'll mark that off. We'll set an alarm there. And we'll see if we can scalp that when we get a little bit closer. Horizontal ray. So this is what I'm looking at, high time frame. Always bullish. Show me the money. Show me the money. Let me just add it up. Crossing down, once per bar, create. Okay, so we've got that alert set. So when we get close to that, basically that 78.6 is right around 544. Definitely worth noting. And then Ren, was there anything else you guys wanted us to cover?
Walton Chain.
Walton Chain. It's getting
Double
some volume.
bottom daily.
Yeah, it's getting some nice. Oh, we're kind of in this. Walton Chain was the nice company that had the nice giveaway.
You know what? Look at this.
Okay, so we had 3 nice little demand zone back here. That's the weekly that we're on. So it comes all the way back here. Historical kind of low back here. Definitely worth noting. We're in a falling wedge structure. This thing could pop. We've got a couple bullish divergences here. Can we do EOS BTC? Yeah, we can do that shitcoin too. I'm just kidding.
I mean, man.
Okay, so we've got one. Yeah, bullish divergence on the daily. Super solid. Let's see if we're getting any breakouts here. Well, kind of a breakout retest on the RSI wedge here. See how much is it to the top side. All right, so I would probably wait until this structure breaks first. We are hitting a potential double bottom on a key support level. It's up 10% on the day, but I'd like to see a higher high first. All right, let's take a look at EOS.
We got a daily squeeze.
Jeez Louise, look at that wick, man.
It's nice we're squeezing. What?
Nice little 8% buyback. Somebody shorted this into oblivion. I mean, when you wanna go long on EOS is when probably this trend line breaks. That's not what you want to do. You want to, when it gets up to that line, you want to short that back into the hole that it came from. You don't want to long this, right? So when it breaks out and comes back, that's when you can long it. But when it comes up here, this is a valid trend line. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 touches. So this would be the 5th touch. And then I would probably just, short it right back to here. So 5%, but on 10X, it's 50%, 5X, 25% move. Looks like we're trying to find support on this lower trend line on ETH. And that is not a good sign because that looks like a nice little descending triangle here. ETH BTC. So another key level here. If that breaks and closes, so I mean, we might see something similar where it comes up and then comes back down. That's a 3% move. We shorted this earlier and it was, very nice short. Raven still holding that 78.6 zone. Getting a nice little bullish divergence. This could be a pretty decent scalp. Clear invalidation structure here with this wick. So 3.6 target, you know, you can target just this 50% fib, 78.6 to 50% fib, pretty straightforward. Looks like an ABC structure after 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Kind of a 5-way structure over here, but definitely looks like an ABC. So this could be a decent scalp. You could even probably just move it up and just kind of hope to play just the top side break with, you know, like a 1-2% risk. But if I was going to play this, I would probably put it underneath this wick here, and then I'd manually watch it and see if it kind of comes back down. Yeah, so not bad. We're definitely in a strong support region, support or resistance, support coming down. So 76. So we could probably see a nice, decent scalp out of this. I threw this out in the chat before, and it's kind of holding that 78.6 pretty well. Let's take a look at our moving averages, see if there's anything there. Below the 20 on the day on the hourly. Testing broke the 100, broke all moving averages on the 4-hour, and daily broke our 20 moving average. So everything's kind of pointing down, but I do like those 786 regions for buybacks. They usually turn out pretty well, but you are buying into a region. Okay, so we started off the stream with Tomo talking about the sell down to price, and it's had a really nice buyback off that level, about 5%. So this is one to watch because this thing most likely will just pop right back up to this 5,500 level. Let's take a look at our scanners, see what's going on with volume. Volume is pretty atrocious. FTM back down to 207, Link sub 20,000, broke the $2 mark as well. INS had a nice sell-off. It's up 26%, but it was up 50. GNT still up pretty well. Wanchain down to 3,400, not looking so hot. They do have staking coming up in 4 days, so we do want to watch for this buyback zone. So, you know, no reaction whatsoever off the 200 MA, off the 50 MA 4-hour. So we know that that's no good. So I am definitely looking for this 78.6 zone. 61.8 got little to no traction. I do know a lot of people that went long, and so they probably got stopped on that trade. I didn't feel too comfortable with it because those 618s just have not been holding for these alts. Nebel's actually looking kind of spicy here. It didn't really have much of a reaction on that Bitcoin push and then the Bitcoin subsequent drop. It's been holding steady. This kind of looks like a bull flag here. This might be worth taking a little scalp flyer, 3% risk, targeting that 200 MA for a nice little 9% move. If you can get kind of mid-range here, or even just a kind of a retest back down here, you could set it just below the 20, keep that risk, you know, sub 2%. But I'd be targeting back up here to the 200 MA, nice little bull flag structure. If you can get the pullback, if not, you know, that's okay too. But I'd look at get a fill like 560. So Nebel's looking spicy. Algo just absolute dog trash.
Nice, looks good.
Jeez Louise, man.
That's fantastic.
Staking and, you know, all kinds of stuff. This just has no momentum. It can't get anything going. Doc had it. Okay, here we go. Doc's kind of spicy. Doc is sitting on the 4-hour 200 EMA. And let's see what our fib level is looking at. That looks like a 786 to me. Okay, so Doc is a go. I mean, we've got to drop to the 200 MA possibly. Let's see if it was reactive to this 200 EMA at all. Rejection.
Nice.
Rejection. So yeah, we're flipping it right now. So this is again a decent little intraday trade. Super clear invalidation level. You can keep this like real tight. We're sitting right on that 200 EMA and the 78.6. Target the 61.8 is 16%. Targeting the 38.2 is 38%. This to me is a very, very decent trade. If you're still in Bitcoin and you're wanting to play some alts, this looks like a fine trade to me. I'll probably take this trade after we're off the stream. Very clear invalidation structure. I mean, I'll probably, make it so my position size will accommodate for a potential 200 MA test. But I like the reaction so far. It's in this downtrend. 78.6, 200 EMA usually does me pretty well. We've got 1, 2, 3 touches on the RSI. If we zoom it into the hourly, we probably see we've got some bullish divergence going on. And you can see we do right here. Basically flat double bottom on the 200 EMA, bullish divergence on the hourly. Coming down here, let's take a look at our OBV. OBV is the on balance volume, and that's kind of flat. That's kind of dead. Usually that means smart money is accumulating. Smart money is not accumulating this at the low level here, but we should see an algo bounce of at least 10% here. And let's take a look at our stochastics. Bottomed out on stochastics. That's not necessarily a bad thing, but that usually means the trend is down right now. But these kind of bounces come out of nowhere. And let's take a look here. And we're getting really close to either breaking out or falling down a little bit more. But I like Doc. I like Raven. Those two trades look pretty good setups for me. We'll see if anything else is getting bought up. Lisk usually follows. Oh, holy shit! There it was. I was gonna say Lisk usually follows INS. They usually pump together, and it looks like it did. It pumped 9%. I haven't even checked the chart, but yeah, so that probably a no-go for me at that point. It already got its nice little pump. The RX looks like it's in a falling wedge structure. Anything else here? Anything sexy? DNT sold off. Broke that 200 MA. Anchor I was watching. Dusk, I took a little bit of a flyer earlier. Got stopped out for like 1% profit. Sold down pretty heavy. Aren't we glad we closed that trade? It was just sitting on that support. And, one of my rules in my trade journal, I just went through and I looked at everything. The longer I leave a trade open after I buy on support, the higher likelihood that it is to get stop hunted. That's why I closed it today. I went through my trade journal and I was just going through all my trades. And that was a rule that I just wrote. In this market right now, the longer that I leave a trade open, the higher likelihood that it gets stopped. And we saw that, on Bitcoin. We saw that on Ren today. We left those trades open for, 2 days. And then what happens? We just kind of get stop hunted. Okay. Okay, so that's pretty much all I'm seeing. GNT kind of looks like a pump and dump. Tomo pumping off the bottom, but I'd want to see it clear there. Or Tomo's pumping off the bottom. This has got, let's see how it reacts around the 20, but still downtrend. Nebel looks like it just got a nice little push above this topside resistance. So it might not come back down to test, but so Nebel, Knowles is getting set up here. Nebel and Doc and Raven. Those would be the trades that I would be watching for. I'll post those in the chat, but okay. Did I do EOS? I think I did EOS.
Yeah.
All right, cool, guys. Well, swing it. How do we know if a coin is in a bear market? Is it when it's trading below the 200 MA on the daily? 20 MA on the daily is kind of a short-term trend down, and then 200 MA on the daily is basically kind of like the overall trend. You can also use the RSI. Post some charts on intraday night, please. Thank you. Well, you just saw all the charts. You can see actually Doc is actually reacting right now. If you would 71, it's up to 73 at this point, so it's already up 2.5%. These are trades that are, definitely okay, and it looks like it's trying to push out of this resistance, but 200 EMA, I mean, you could do like a really quick scalp, 6% to the 20, 10.8%, 7% to the 50, which would be like basically like 70 to 80 for a solid little, 13% from this level though, 10%. So if you want to sell at the 50 MA on the hourly, then basically get out at 80, but usually 78.6 usually takes us to at least a 61.8. There you can enter a trailing take profit and then target 50 or 38.2 if it's got any juice left in it. But usually we'll see these spike up to at least the 61.8, so at least a 10% trade there. All right, cool guys. I will post those charts, and thanks for watching another long stream with Chinggis and I. Sorry I was a little bit delayed there. My daughter sometimes takes a little while to go to sleep. And we will look for our Bitcoin buyback position, but usually after a big sell-off, I give it a little like a day or two. Sorry if I was a little far away from like, I usually give it like a day or two before I will take a position. So that's just what I'm looking at. So give it like a day. Let the market kind of consolidate a little bit, and then we'll find our entries. So cool. All right, guys, have a good night, and I will see you guys tomorrow.